He's back. He's the man behind the mask. He's out of control. He's back. Let's love that song. It's such a good song. What's up, little buddy? I've already reviewed all your movies. I don't know what else to do. What do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? You're so quiet. At least Chucky was a lot more vocal. So what's up, guys? It's time for another ranking video. My Halloween ranking video got such a positive response that I thought, you know what, why don't I do another one of these? Because you know what, these are really fun. And there's quite a few franchises out there. So I thought, you know, why not go ahead and do the Friday series next? And before I start, I want to give a quick shout out. One of my subscribers, Robert Doering, his grandfather just passed away. I think that's horrible. So I wanted to give him a shout out because he asked me in his post here for my Child's Play 3 review. And I'm just going to read it to you. It says, "Hey Lee, I just got back from a long 2-week trip because my grandfather died and it was awesome to pick back up with Child's Play 3. This is miles away from the first two. Can you rank the Friday the 13th films, man? That would be awesome. That's my favorite movies of all time and it would cheer me up a lot. And can I get a shout out too? Great review, by the way." Absolutely, Robert. So Robert Doering, this video's for you, buddy. All right, so the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna go from worst to best, all right? So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. And my least favorite Friday the 13th film is Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, when I reviewed Jason Takes Manhattan quite a few months ago, almost a year ago actually, when I watched it again, I actually did find some enjoyment in it. And I'll go ahead and say this about all the movies. I find enjoyment out of all of these. So even the worst movie, I can still throw it in and have a good time. But Jason Takes Manhattan really is stupid because he's not in Manhattan at all throughout most of the movie. It does pick up at the last act, but up until that part, it does get kind of monotonous. And when you're talking about throwaway characters, Jason Takes Manhattan really writes the book on them. Number 11 is gonna be Jason Goes to Hell. Jason Goes to Hell was destined to get some flack because it steered away from that formula. But director Adam Marcus, he backed himself up. He said, hey, you have all those other Friday the 13th movies. Why not try something different? Why not tell a completely new story? And you know what? I have to applaud him for that. But when I want to watch a Friday the 13th movie, this is one that I don't really go to because I don't get the normal Friday movie. I want the hockey mask for most of the film, and I want that kids in a campfire setting and Jason hacking and slashing. You don't get that campfire setting for the most part in this movie. Number 10 is Jason X. First off, rest in peace, director Jason Isaac. But Jason X was really kind of a stepping stone to Freddy vs. Jason. They didn't have all their ducks in a row for that movie yet, so they decided, hey, let's make another Jason movie, and they put him in space. And this was New Line Cinema's first Jason outing. So they didn't really get off on the right foot. Luckily, Freddy vs. Jason kept the franchise afloat. But there is some fun to be had in Jason X, actually. If you know what you're getting into, if you know that this movie is going to be really horrible, but there's going to be some fun to be had, then you'll probably have a good time with Jason X. I did. Number 9 is the remake of Friday the 13th. Now, I think I'm often misunderstood when I talk about the remake. People assume that I hate the remake. I don't hate the remake. I hate aspects of it, namely the characters. Trent, by far, is the worst. One of the worst characters in horror movie history, if you ask me. There are characters that are fun to hate, and then there are characters that you want to throw things at the screen. That's what Trent was to me. And then you had some other characters in there too that were pretty annoying, but not all of them were annoying actually. But having said that, the remake does have some things going for it. It has one of the best Jasons in Derek Mears. Derek Mears loves the franchise to death. Also, some great cinematography by Daniel Pearl. So I can't fault it completely. The first 20 minutes actually are fantastic, but those characters really kick it down quite a few pegs for me. Number 8 is Friday the 13th Part 5, The New Beginning. Now, when you have a director who has a previous history in porn, then you're probably gonna get the Friday movie with the most nudity. And I think that's what Part 5 has. And Part 5 has the most kills out of the whole series. But you have all these kids in a mental institution, and they're a little bit whacked out. You don't really care about any of them, and it's probably got one of the worst final girls out of the whole series. And then the real crime there is this doesn't have Jason in it. It's a whodunit. Okay, the next 7 in the countdown, I actually love the hell out of these. These are really fun. That doesn't mean they don't have problems, but I still like them a lot. Number 7 is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. This one was the first Friday movie that I saw in the theater, so it's got that nostalgic value to it. But I love that whole Carrie versus Jason element to it. I thought Lar Park Lincoln was excellent. It is a little bit dated, but that showdown at the end makes it a fun ride. And this is the first Kane Hodder appearance as Jason in the series, and probably the best. Number 6 is Freddy vs. Jason. I just did a commentary on Freddy vs. Jason with my horror buddies, Zach vs. the Blu-ray Mountain and CP from Well I Like It Reviews. I'll post a card so you can check that out, but Freddy vs. Jason is fun. That's just the biggest word for it. It's really fun. It didn't take the source material too seriously. And given how many different scripts were out there, and to have the movie that we ended up having is a blessing, really, because this could have been horrible because there were a lot of bad scripts out there. But I think the movie that we got is the one that we really needed. Is that almost like a Dark Knight reference? Number 5 is Friday the 13th Part 3. Now, if you can see this in actual 3D, it makes it fantastic because the 3D in this movie is excellent if you're not watching the crappy anaglyphic glasses version. Matter of fact, I got the box set right here. Really, really hard to find right now too. It's out of print. I told you guys you should have bought it when it came out, but anyway. But here are the glasses. This is not the version you want to watch because it's just going to hurt your eyes, and the 3D effect isn't really that great. But this set did come with a counselor patch, which is kind of cool. But Part 3 has one of the best third acts thanks to Dana Kimmel. It also has one of the best Jasons thanks to the late Richard Brooker. And Richard Brooker is almost my favorite Jason. He's my number 2. We haven't talked about my number 1 yet. Number 4 is the original Friday the 13th. I love the original. And the original is pretty much a copy of Halloween. Sean Cunningham actually stated that. Let's rip off Halloween. But the movie was done so well and really opened the floodgates for the onslaught of slasher movies after. Halloween kicked the door open, but Friday the 13th broke the dam. Plus, out of all the group of kids, the characters, I think the first one might have some of the best. Plus, it's got Kevin Bacon. That's just a bonus. Number 3 is CP from Will I Like It Reviews' favorite Jason movie, Friday the 13th Part 6. And I can see why, because 6 is so fun. And it has probably the best Jason resurrection scene. It's something right out of Frankenstein, and that scene is visually stunning. But this is one of the first meta horror movies. It's so self-aware, it's tongue-in-cheek, and it has a lot of fun with the genre. There's so many Easter eggs and winks and nods in the movie, and at the time people didn't realize what they had. But I think Part 6 is loved more today than it was back then when it first came out. Not to say that it wasn't loved, but people really respect it as kind of a groundbreaking movie now. Number 2. Now my number 2 and my number 1, I do go back and forth with these. Sometimes my number 2 will be my number 1, and so on. So today, my number 2 is gonna be Friday the 13th Part 2. I love Sackhead Jason. But the big thing that really kicks this one over the top for me is the characters, namely Amy Steele. Amy Steele, to me, is the best final girl out of the whole series. She is everything that you would want in a capable final girl. And it's one of the movies that scared me the most out of the whole series. When Jason jumps through that window and then we see his face without the sack. When I was a kid, I was petrified, not gonna lie. And my number 1, no surprise here, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. To me, this is a great horror movie, a great Friday the 13th movie. Most of the Friday movies aren't great at all. They're good, they're fun, but you know what you're getting yourself into. But if you want one that's actually fantastic, top-notch, epic, then you want Part 4. Joseph Zito is a big reason for that because he is a fantastic director. He did The Prowler, but he knows how to handle characters and he knows how to create, tension and dread. And Friday Part 4 is one of the creepiest Friday movies. Jason is probably his scariest. Ted White is my favorite Jason ever. And you also have Corey Feldman, who was a child actor at the time, and it's a hard thing to pull off, and he is one of the best child actors I've ever seen in a horror movie. Also, the great Tom Savini has some of his best work in Friday Part 4. The impalement scene at the end is one of the most striking visuals I've ever seen in a horror movie, still to this day. Really, the scene just has a lot of balls. Machete goes into the side of the head, and then the head just slides down the machete. I'm getting creeped out just thinking about it. But that's it, guys. Now I want to know your ranking. Post down below in the comments. let me know. Also, come on over to Killer Flicks and post your rankings over there. If you haven't become a member of Killer Flicks yet, make sure you jump on over to Facebook and become a member. Also, if you look down below, you can see all my social media links. If you like what I'm doing, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and